Play is how we learn to be human, how we learn who we are, how we learn to fail, communicate, love, fight, rebel, desire, build, and survive. At its best, play is life-affirming, soul-sustaining, and mind-expanding. A life devoid of play is detrimental to our psychological, emotional, and physical health. A lovely quote from play expert Cass Holman to get us started. All right, let's get into it. I used to believe that the adventure of life lay in going out and exploring new places, meeting new people, and challenging yourself to new feats. And sometimes it does. Sometimes you look inside yourself and you know you need a change, and you go out and you make it happen and end up learning things about the world and about life that you never expected. But this video is about a different kind of adventure. One that happens when a lot is already changing or uncertain, like when your beliefs or outlook on life are shifting, or you feel a lot of instability in the world around you. It's an unsettled feeling, a questioning feeling, and when you can open up to it, this kind of adventure shows you that inside you is just as rich a landscape as Majorca, the Great Smoky Mountains, or anywhere else outside of you that you could adventure to. So, there I was, dog sitting two very old, very sweet dogs for a friend's aunt. I had expected it to be easy, with plenty of time to do my own work. But from the first day, I was way out of my depth. One of the dogs started having massive stomach issues that morning, and for the next week, I was almost literally drowning in doggy diarrhea. The sick doggy turned catatonic at one point in a way that made me believe she might literally be on the way out. I was a mess between constantly worrying, cleaning up diarrhea all over the kitchen floor every day, not to mention having no time for my own work, which in itself was really disorienting. So after the sick dog stopped eating entirely, I took her to the vet, who luckily said she was in better shape than she seemed and prescribed some meds that perked her up immediately. So I thought things were looking up, and I was looking forward to getting back to figuring out my life. And then out of nowhere, I woke up to the biggest mess yet. It stretched all the way across the kitchen and was truly harrowing. One thing I knew for sure was the sick dog had not eaten enough in the last 24 hours to have pooped that much. And this is how I discovered that both dogs had diarrhea. I am not ashamed to say I did sit down, head in hands, and cry that day. As luck would have it, I was listening to an audiobook about playfulness at the time, the same one that the quote in the beginning of this video is from. Playfulness is a topic that has since become very dear to me, and at that moment, the author's stories about how important creative free play is to our development was causing something to loosen in me, and in fact, it was changing me in such a way that later that day, when I happened to spot a puzzle in the basement, even though I hadn't done a puzzle in years, I decided to bring it upstairs and open it up. If you are anything like me, a child of the digital era, then you have a voice in the back of your head too that judges things like puzzles. When you do a puzzle, you are literally putting something together just to take it apart again. This is why I hadn't done one in several years. The voice was also reminding me that I was getting no writing or work on my business done, but I felt too stressed to work anyway. So I jiggled open the cardboard box. One of my favorite things about books and movies is the moment you can feel the protagonist having this internal transformation, realizing who they really are, or that they can have the life that they never thought that they could. That's why, even though almost the whole movie is a cliche now, people resonate so much still with Good Will Hunting. This kid that thought all he had to look forward to was surviving and the occasional kickback with his friends, saw that life can have more to offer than you ever thought. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's a real life version of this too. We shift moods all the time, but this kind of change is deeper and more beautiful. It's this really special moment when our worldview, our beliefs shift. First of all, what I didn't realize is that all puzzles are art. They're a gorgeous photograph or a beautiful painting or drawing that you get to spend hours looking at. But not just in a way where your mind drifts off, in a way where you're really forced to see it, all the little things that make it up. This puzzle was a drawing of a bunch of colorful quilts hung around the inside of a giant lodge. From the small picture on the box, it looked cozy, very cozy in there. Since puzzles aren't directed like an exam or a board game, you're just really staring at 1,000 pieces in front of you. There are no rules except to eventually find where the pieces go and have a good time at it if you can. I decided to start by going through the entire box and finding as many edge pieces as I could. I don't know if my video captures this, but puzzle pieces feel good. It feels amazing to hold and then connect each piece, to see the outline of the thing coming into being. Puzzle pieces have such a distinctive, uniform look, too. The whole process is calming. And something else was happening in my brain, too. A kind of trust was blooming. I could feel this sort of waterfall effect starting to happen, where somehow as you sort each piece out, you see it multiple times, you get to know it a little better. The pieces were going from a jumble to little groups of like patterns. The quilts were forming. And I even developed what felt like this sixth sense about some of them. Like, a lot of the colors are in multiple places in the puzzle, like the wood of the lodge, but I'd get a feeling that a piece went one specific place without having a logical reason why. And then you put the piece down and it's in the right place. And it felt like part of me was aware of more than I realized. Sometimes that would happen, and sometimes you have no feeling and you just experiment with a bunch of pieces. But when it did happen, it was kind of magical. I started to realize that the puzzle was like a map I was becoming a cartographer of, a better and better one. So I'd see a piece that was not even half a shade lighter or had the very edge of a line on it, and I'd reach across the puzzle to the wooden beams at the top of the lodge or to the right, and it fit right in. This process felt really different from how I was approaching things with the dogs, which was reactive and scared and not very exploratory because I felt so worried about what might happen to them. This felt more like a process of deepening, and like the end result wasn't what was worth paying attention to. It was this amazing map that was becoming more and more detailed in my head. This observation and appreciation of what was there and taking each little step that gave me an even fuller picture. That's the way art is too. When you make art, you add a little here and there. You follow these little nudges that you can't explain yet. You focus on what sparks you, like this one quilt you're excited about, or imagining the texture of the wooden beam that you're putting together, or admiring the light coming into the lodge from outside, warming the hue of the beams. And you go at a pace that feels so natural. For me, it just slowed me right down from the anxious pace that I was moving at. It's such a wonderfully slow pace, and then you realize you're actually moving faster than you were before because you're in flow, and it's actually giving you more energy to do it this way and just follow the little sparks like, oh, I wonder about this piece. I wonder about that piece. You build relationship to the art. When you finish it, you feel so wonderfully knowledgeable about this thing that you've built intimacy with. When I got back to my parents' house, I started a puzzle that I immediately realized was way harder because the colors were so similar across the puzzle. I can't tell you how different my mindset was toward this difficult task. I mean, it's still a puzzle, but before I would have quit so fast. It's like my brain was different. It didn't even conceive of the task as hard. Sometimes in life, I feel like I'm in an action movie where the hero has to leap forward and stumbles and suffers mightily, but they can't give up because they're the hero and they have to get to their goal. But there is another way to do something big and challenging where you just map it out piece by piece. I've been thinking about 9-to-5 jobs recently and whether I'd like to have one again instead of working for myself. There are so many small things that go into a decision like that. What kind of people you'd want to be around, your needs versus nice to haves, grappling with the issues that pushed me away from 9-to-5s in the first place. And instinctively, during the time I was doing this hard puzzle, I just started to make lists of all the things about this decision I wanted to wrap my mind around a little better. And all of a sudden, this thing that can feel so ill-defined and many-sided became immensely clearer for me and more understandable. I am just getting to know all the pieces. It's like this inner map you're creating. And when I push myself like I'm in an action movie toward one concrete endpoint that looks one way, I can't hear these little nudges trying to help me go deeper with that thing and understand it better and understand myself in it. There's no right way to do a new thing, just a right way for me. I didn't completely stop worrying while I was with the dogs, but the puzzle did help me start to approach the situation differently. I did obsessively continue checking for poop, but I also started building a map of who these dogs were and how to connect with them. And I got a lot of moments of joy and connection with them, even through the tough bits. Over that next week, they both got better, and they spent more and more time outside, and sometimes they even did super cute things like rolling around in the grass and sniffing plants. And I got the chance to help them heal their little intestines and to learn that even though they loved their new filet mignon food packets, that their stomachs were saying, never again. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or feedback, I'd love to hear it. Have a playful day.